Hey guys, Tarke here, and today I'm giving an update on the build I'm currently playing. It is a self-cast Detonate Dead Necromancer. We're only level 87, but I've got 7.3k life. For the tree, we get a lot of life nodes, a lot of max res using arms, 80, 79, 79, and 32 positive chaos. I haven't got block cap yet. I need to get a Calabar Jewel for that. So hopefully we can get to that. That's the main big upgrade for this build at this point. At which point I would then drop the arms shield and I would try and get a Schaefer shield with 12% spell block and then a life on block. With a 12% spell block shield and a Calabar Jewel, I would have cat 75, 75 attack and spell block, with life recovery from Bone Offering, and then percent life recovery on the shield itself. So that'd be really solid. So that in conjunction with my nice HP total would give me a pretty defensive character. I am running a Shroud of Lightless currently just because it's a 6-link. I would actually much rather be using just a solid incursion chest piece. And if I had just a good incursion chest, then I could get a, I could get up to about 8k with like decent gear. I haven't got amazing life rolls on a couple of pieces. I've got like good life across my gear, but we could get better. And if we had like a incursion chest with life percent and craft like stacked double percent together, preferably with chaos res also, because I want as much chaos res as possible because chaos res is scary. Even though I'm at positive 32% chaos res, I'm now like, cap the chaos res. If you didn't want to go for the block shenanigans, or you feel like you could cap out your block without having to go for the Calabar Jewel, another option you could do if you could cap out your chaos res is get a incandescent heart and cap out your chaos res and maybe use a divine flesh jewel. And that way you would have a bunch of max res on the tree, and then a bunch of your LE damage you would take as chaos, and then you'd be very resistant to elemental damage. Apparently we missed a bunch of the map. We missed that room there, but that's good enough. You can see the map clear is actually like pretty decent, even though it is a 1-2 build. Unique weapon could be fun. Currency items is funner though. And yeah. I'll go about links and everything after this. We messed up my Vol Molten Shell, then you can press the Granite Fast after the Vol Molten Shell. That's my bad. When we have our Granite of Iron Skin up and then VMS, we get like 13k Vol Molten Shell absorbed with my current gear investment. I'm pretty tired, so I'm just going to go over my gear. I won't do another map. But yeah, so for links, I'm running Detonate Dead, level 19. With the global pen I get from the chest. Spell Cascade, this is the most important link in my opinion. LE Focus is fluff, you could sort of have something else. Fire Pen and Inspiration. Inspiration is very important because it reduces the mana cost. It gives you elemental damage and it gives me crit chance, which increases my LE overload uptime. Next most important thing is our, where is it? Our Desecrate. We don't actually have a level 20 Desecrate yet. Level 20 Desecrate is going to be a huge DPS increase because I'm mostly scaling the detonation of the Detonate, and that depends on the health of the corpse. So we want to get max level corpses to get bigger explosions. But yeah, so we've got Desecrate, Spell Cascade again, faster casting Arcane Surge. So that means that when I Desecrate, I create 10 corpses, then that goes off. If you're playing in Trade League, you'd obviously rather have a Woke Spell Cascade. That'd be a very big DPS increase. So currently what happens is when I Desecrate, we get 3 explosions, but because of my Helm enchant, we have a 45% chance per explosion for more explosions. So if you had a base of 5 from Woke and then 45 on top, it gets really silly. You can also mess around with running Unleash in your Detonate Dead setup. It's nice and map clear. It doesn't feel great for single target. It is kind of fun, but I don't think you need it. Fire Pen, definitely. LE Focus I'm running because I'm actually proccing Combustion on a Unleash Cremation setup that I've been messing around with. I kind of like having it, so it's just like a fire and forget currently. If you want to get more single target damage, you want to get more quality of life running Legions, more quality of life running Blights or Breaches and any of that good stuff, then don't run Unleash, just run another DPS link on there. But you can see the coverage is really good, and this is why I actually like this MTX, because this MTX quite clearly shows the actual AoE coverage of this ability. But you can see that it covers a really big area. So currently what I do is when I have like a strongbox or a boss or a metamorph and I need that extra single target, I throw it down. It guarantees my combustion is up, it guarantees my elite overload is up, and it actually just puts out pretty solid damage by itself. And obviously, if I was running a full like DPS setup, it'd run even more damage. You could potentially use a staff or have like weapon swap Sire shards, but I feel like I don't need it currently. Maybe I will need it in like the higher tier maps. My weapon, this is important, and I'll explain this afterwards, but I'll just show you what the weapon is first. So it's got flat damage to spells. I just got a Warlord Scepter, the best I had in my private league, and throwed some essences in there. So you can see I've got the flat damage to spells, tier 1 from Essence, and then I hit the tier 2 from Warlords, which gives some global fire pen. And then I just crafted Trigger Socket of Spell. I've currently got Desecrate, Bone Offering, Wave of Conviction. Wave of Conviction level 1, only level 1, so I don't die to Fizz Reflect maps. With level 1 I can run Fizz Reflect. That way I get Fire Exposure, Bone Offering for 100% uptime of my offerings, without me having to worry about it, which is quite nice. So it's just always active. If you're speed clearing, you can use Flesh Offering instead for more movement speed. Herald of Ash, Flesh and Stone, and then we use Aspect of the Spider. Those are our 3 reservations. If you don't have Aspect of the Spider, you could build this more hybrid-y, and you could run Discipline instead, or you could run a Purity if you want to run a Purity. I've just got a Flame Dash there. I've got so much cast speed I can get away with just having a single Flame Dash. Feels good. Vol Molten Shell, increased duration, and then a level 3 Mortal Core casting damage taken. These 2 links you don't need. I'm just running them because they make my build tankier and I'm playing in hardcore. And that's all of my links. So the reason why I explained this, and you'll notice I don't really go for any spell damage on my tree, like I root through casting instead of spell damage. So Detonate Dead has 2 parts. It also has a very big gem description. So the first part is a spell, and that scales with spell damage. The second part is a detonation based on 6% of the corpse max life. That's why we scale corpse life. That second part doesn't scale with spell damage because it's not a spell. So this added fire damage to spells doesn't actually apply to both halves. It only applies to the first half of the ability. So your ideal weapon is actually a Shaper weapon with non-chaos as chaos and then just generic fire damage, generic elemental damage. I just went for this because this was easy. We didn't have any eye level 85 Shaper weapons in the league, but you want an eye level 85 Shaper weapon with non-chaos as chaos and just generic fire damage. Avoid spell damage. If you get some spell damage, that's okay, but not great. What you can do, though, is you can use mods like I have on these gloves, which has added fire damage. It doesn't specify with spells. This is global, so this applies to both the front and the second half of the Detonate Dead, so I technically like double dip. This also works with the flat damage you can craft on rings. You can also craft it on amulet. You can also craft it on shields. For my amulet, I would recommend getting Fire Leech because I want some Fire Leech. And the way we stay in our life again is we have a good amount of regen, we have a little bit of Fire Leech, and then we've got a bunch of life recovery on block. Otherwise, get Chaos Res. You don't actually need to use any unique items this build. You can go full rare items. The fact that you can go full rare items is really nice because it means you can focus on things like Chaos Res and get stuff like positive Chaos Res. Your helmet, again, you really want the enchant, but the main things really to look for would be nearby enemies have minus fire damage taken. If you're not running a trigger weapon, if you're manually casting your offering skills, you should run your offerings in the helmet. And also, I just realized that I should actually swap these links around, and then I would have had a level 20 Desecrate the whole time I've been playing this build. Whoopsie, I should swap those around. Desecrate corpse level caps out at 20, so there's no reason to push it higher than that. But yeah, you should put it in a plus level helmet so you get the max level corpses earlier. Thankfully, I didn't make this mistake on the internet and no one saw. If you can get reduced flask charges on your belt, that'd be great. So currently I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 uses of my Quicksilver. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 uses of my Sulfur. 1, 2, 3 of my Granite. 1, 2, 3 of my Jade. 1, 2, 3 on my Life Loss. So, yeah. The tree is fairly set, although it's actually incredibly flexible. So I show it to you in Path of Building. At level 93, the reason why it's level 93 tree is I take some nodes I don't need. Like, I take a dex node just to soften out some stat requirements. You have 249% life. From that point, you're just going for 2-point jewels. With more levels, you can swap some rooting around. So this rooting here, you could do something like this. Grab that 2 points, and then you could take this full cluster. And then drop some points elsewhere. There are quite a few interesting things you can anoint for this build. So obviously a very obvious thing would be anointing Arcane Swiftness. Because when you get to block cap, that's 75% spell damage. That only applies to the first half, so it's not great. But the main reason you anoint it is for the avoid ailments and the avoid being stunned. Because if you then had a rare chest, helm, and gloves, all with the avoid ailment craft on there, you would be completely element immune, which would be very nice quality of life. So that's something you can think about. Otherwise, just look for anything which gives you like spell block. Mystic Bulwark is a pretty solid one. Deflection is pretty good as well. Or just go for just damage anoints like Divine Judgment. If you're in Trade League and you've got a lot of money, you could actually anoint Spiritual Aid and save yourself a whole bunch of skill points. With those skill points, you could just chase jewels really hard. Or you could even come across this way and grab Arcane Chemistry, Profane Chemistry to really build into the reduced class charges, use shenanigans. If you're starving for resist on this build, instead of these 2 points on the bottom here, you can spend an extra 2 points here, but you gain an extra 6, 11, 23 all elemental res. This also means it's actually quite easy to balance Wise Oak in this build, because we have access to like all res, all res, all res, all res. You can change these 3 points to go 1, 2, 3, and then grab access to more life with more levels, and you could also get more spell block and all res there. So balancing resist is very easy with this build. It doesn't really require anything. I only just started getting Spiritual Aid at like level 80. The way I routed this build to start, I came up this way, grabbed Elite Overload, grabbed a bunch of life, grabbed Blast Radius, grabbed the Purity Flash, then just came straight down to Sarn, came straight down this way, and I didn't get like any real damage nodes until 80 plus from this point, and we're going up towards Harder Flame. Really tanky, can highly recommend, and it's very satisfying just watching the explosions, and the playstyle is Desecrate, Detonate, Detonate, Desecrate, Detonate, Detonate, Desecrate, Detonate, Detonate. I really like it. Throw down cremations when you want to. But yeah, anyway, I'm Tarke, this is what I'm currently playing. Links to everything will be down below. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Bye-bye.